Hi, I'm Lou, and today we're going to put a torque converter on this MB200S mini bike. There's a link to this torque converter and all the other parts I use in the video description. We'll start by taking off the jack shaft cover, cotter pin, 23mm castle nut, 12mm, clutch and big sprocket, jack shaft, plate off with 12mm. There's one back here too. Next, we need to get this plate installed. These can be trimmed a little, but ultimately can't be any smaller than the back pulley. So it'll have to sit in here about like this, and we'll raise the engine to match. Unbolt the engine with 12mm. Take pictures and disconnect your electrical. Airbox with 10mm. And throttle cable with screws here and here. And out comes the engine. I put the plate on the motor and I'm using the center of these 3 holes, and there's only one little problem right here, and this is bumping into that bolt. So we'll just buzz this down a little bit. Problem solved. This is a tight fit. There's not much room between the pivot tube here and the foot peg tube here. The torque converter won't fit if the engine is down on the plate, so I've got it up on blocks. I've clamped a dowel rod onto the pivot arm, and we want the sprocket to line up with that. One option is to use this riser plate. I'll be using this 1 1/4" square tubing available at any hardware store. 9 inches. They're going to lay in like this. Bolt spacing is 6 3/8, so if we put a bolt in this hole up here, we're going to have to slot this to make it fit. We're going to want to slide the engine forward as much as possible, so we'll cut part of this off. 5/16 by 1 1/2" bolts. Drop on our motor and bolt it down. Next, attach the tube to the frame with 3/4 inch bolts. All the bolts are in and hand tight, and now we need to lengthen the chain, and we'll start by taking out that link. There's our chain in place, held together with a zip tie. The spacing looks good, and we're going to need about 3 more links held together with 2 masters. You can get these from the jack shaft chain or buy more, and you just break it by punching these out, or you can use a breaker tool. Line up where you want to break and tighten this down, and then twist this until it pushes the pin out. I'm going to nip off a little right here to get this closer. On the bike, off the bike. That looks good, and we're ready for the pulleys. Slotted washer, key, back pulley, washer. These come with these nylock nuts, but I've had them spin off before on a ride, so I'm going to put a cotter pin through this. I cut the nut down, and now I'm going to drill a hole through the end of the shaft. Put in this cotter pin to hold it in place. Loctite glue is another good option if you don't want to go to this extreme. Front pulley is going to go on here, but you want the back of it to line up exactly with that one, so we're going to need some spacers right there. We'll try this that came in the kit. It's really important you get these lined up so you don't tear up your belts, and I would say we need to come out about another 1/8 on this maybe. We'll try washer and bushing. These can be a little tight to get on and off the shaft, and so here's a tip. To get it on, tap it with a socket. To get it off, get behind it with a pry bar. I'll apply a little bit of pressure and tap here. That's pretty good. A little bit of grease on the inside of this helps, but not too much. Bushing, belt with the flat side to the back. This is called an adapter, and it should go with the flat sides out. Outer half of your front pulley. These work a lot better with a little grease or graphite right on here. Cover, this end cap. The original engine shaft bolt isn't long enough. You'll need a 5/16 24 by 2 1/2. Washer, lock washer, and a 1/2 inch drive. Tighten our mounting bolts. The cover goes on like this, but you need to cut out the space for your chain. And finally, it's held on with these little 8mm bolts. I reinstalled the chain guard, and I think we're done. Torqued up Massimo versus stock BT. If you have this mini bike, please consider joining this group. If you have any questions about any other mini bikes, please consider joining that group. Links to both in the description below. Thanks for watching.